Hey everybody, it's Ian. How's it going? It's been a minute. Just really been out of just haven't been into it. Haven't been watching videos. Haven't been making videos. Just been doing my own thing. And recently, just starting to get ideas again. That's really what it is. I just hadn't had ideas for a while. I hadn't been inspired for a while, and then I got inspired again. So here I am. Let's see. I'll try to, if this ends up making sense how it comes out, I will make chapters or whatever. So if you're just here for one specific thing, you can look for chapters. So the main impetus for the video today is the new Tom Waits reissues. I just got these today. So I'll talk about that shortly. A little update, just kind of my overall situation. So real heads know that I had been living in the middle of nowhere for a long time. I never wanted to say specifically, it just felt weird to say that out loud, but now that I don't live there anymore, I feel like I can say that I lived outside of Decorah, Iowa. So rural northeast Iowa, real pretty there, but because of a whole bunch of reasons that just are none of your goddamn business, we moved, and we moved to Minneapolis. And so welcome to my new home. So kind of updated the, so there's my shelf right there. So this had been two separate shelves. I built these out of, the bottom one's out of, this is all 2x12s, and the top one's all 1x12s. The bottom one's way overbuilt, but whatever. I'm happy with them. I'm proud of them. They worked out really well. And so, we don't have the biggest house in the world, so we want to be more vertical. So I stacked them on top of each other and anchored them to the studs. So pretty simple, I mean, not super cheap, but to get, solid wood shelves, you'd have to pay a lot of money. So compared to how much you'd have to pay for professional solid wood shelves, they are cheap. But there's probably like a couple $100 worth of materials in those. I think each one cost around $100 to make. Yeah, so now I can get my box set boxes up there on display. That's hard to do. Up here, up here, and then the Beatles one didn't fit. It's these are each of these cubes are 13 by 13. And the box set is like probably 13 1/4 or something like that. It just doesn't quite fit, so I laid it up top there like that. And then, yeah, that's full of records, that one. So like the top one and the bottom one aren't really full of records. All my whole collection's in the middle there. And then I went for the record shelf right there. See, I built a shelf into the wall. Again, just found the studs, pretty simple construction. Especially if you get young kids, but also just in general, it's so nice to have a wall shelf. I had that several houses ago, and I loved it. Like, you don't have to yell at your kids for jumping around. So yeah, just like two wall brackets, a couple of boards. That's all there is to it. Obviously, you got to level it and everything. That is my U-turn orbit theory, I think it's called. With it's got the Ortofon Bronze. Quick little rant: if you say Ortofon, I will strangle you. Ortofon? Are you kidding me? Ortofon? Who would say that? It's Ortofon Bronze, and that's the best cartridge I've ever had. It's really wonderful. And so I got the model without the built-in preamp, because I got a separate preamp. It's the iPhono 3. And, I guess it'd be neat to show that, but here, I can show you the box. Hang on. Okay, went and grabbed the box. That's the best I can do. I'm real happy with the whole combo. So the Ortofon Bronze sounds incredible, but what I'd read about it is that your records have to be super clean, and because it's so good at detail, and then that also means that it picks up every little imperfection of your record too. And so I wanted a phono stage that would hopefully counterbalance that. And this seems to do that. You know, I've said to others, I don't have much to compare it to. I've never been a big hi-fi guy. I've never had awesome equipment. This is by far the most expensive system I've ever had. I think it's wonderful. You know, anyone with like a truly expensive system probably would look down their nose at what I have. This is so, you know, they'd probably call it mid-fi or whatever, but anyway, I think this is a great combo. The U-turn orbit theory with the Ortofon Bronze, and this sounds great. And then I also got, can't see them very well, I got these Magnepan Magneplanar MMG speakers. They're kind of like ribbon speakers, but they're not quite ribbon speakers. I don't even know that I fully understand what they are, but they're behind the chair there. And they're used, they're supposed to have this like fabric over it, but that's been ripped off, so they just have pillowcases draped over them. But they sound wonderful. It was a huge step up from the acoustic research that I had before. So yeah, new house, new system, new whole deal, new whole setup there, and I'm so happy with it. This is the best everything's ever been with my whole system. Absolutely love it. That's, I guess, all I have to say about that. But you know, I would take that with a grain of salt, right? I don't have much to compare it to. Okay, so let me gather my thoughts here. Okay, so one great thing about living in the city, and I imagine that like most people who are stumbling upon this video probably already do live in cities, and so this is gonna seem kind of trivial or whatever, but like, I can go to record stores now. Like, I haven't been able to do that for so many years. In fact, I haven't been able to do that since I got back into record collecting for real in early 2017. So it's been about 6.5 years now. And the only times I ever went to record stores was when I was out of town, which was rare. And so now it's like, hey, I think I'll go to a record store. I hop on my bike and I go. Let me show you my setup for that. Okay, so, you know, I just got the bike bag, the panniers or whatever they're called. They're waterproof, you know. And I use like just a mailer, and I just stuff that in there. And then I can, you know, I buy a record, stick it in here, and then shove it in there. And that's all there is to it. And to get over to Electric Fetus, at least, it's about 25 minutes from where I live. Here in Minneapolis. So I don't know, just these simple things are just kind of a wonderful experience for me, just because I haven't had this like forever, you know. Like when I had my record collection when I was younger, I was in San Francisco, or Iowa City first, and then San Francisco, and that was all record store based. But since I got back into record collecting, it's all been Discogs based basically, and just what a breath of fresh air to be able to just go to a record store. That's what almost everyone else does, I'm sure, but I finally get to do that. Okay, so that's enough of my ramblings about my personal stuff. This phone doesn't want to stay where it was. Let me, just a sec. Okay, I hope that'll stay now. So let me, the main attraction here. So the 3 new recent reissues, right? So as you may know, these have been really, really hard to get. So I had, back in the day, I had Rain Dogs, and I had Swordfishtrombones, and I had Closing Time. And none of those were hard to get back then in the late 90s, early aughts. I don't remember any of them being difficult to find. I don't remember any of them being particularly expensive. My guess is I spent 10 to 15 bucks for each of those back then. You know, in the last few years, I've wanted to get those, and they are so fucking expensive. That's just been really shocking to see how hard it is to get your hands on the 80s stuff. And like, to give you an idea, I went to Electric Fetus to get these today, and they had a copy of an original of Rain Dogs, and they wanted 80 bucks for it. So, you know, I didn't check on Discogs for what they're going for there. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I just remember they're real expensive. So, they were selling these for $33 a pop. That's not the cheapest out there. I saw them as cheap as $26, $27 online. I also saw that you could get them online at places like Target and maybe even Walmart. That gives me the impression that they probably made a lot of these and that the price will probably come down eventually. So kind of went back and forth about that, but I'm just real excited about it. And I had some store credit that I could take advantage of at Electric Fetus. Yeah, so let's talk about these. So here's the sticker: audio sourced from original production master tape. So that's the question, right? As always, what does that actually mean? And what's really cool is that on the Acoustic Sounds website, they somehow got a hold of that information, they unpack it, and what it is that it's digital transfers of the original master tape, new digital transfers, and then Chris Bellman mastered those high-res transfers, and then somebody else cut the lacquers. So on the one hand, you know, it just seems like, oh, close but no cigar, why can't we have nice things? You got the tape out anyway, why didn't you just cut a lacquer directly from it? That's how I think of things. On the other hand, I'm listening to Rain Dogs right now, and this is mind-blowingly good. So, sure, maybe there's an extra, you know, 1/100% that you could have gotten from having a direct cut from the original master tape, but they used, and when I say high res, 24:192, so like really high res. Although nowadays there's even 32-bit, so I bet they, I just keep finding ways where they could have done it a little bit better, and so that's a little frustrating that it didn't quite go all the way. But I tell you what, I wish I had currently an original that I could compare it with. The best I can do is just my memory of what the originals were like, and I had the originals 25 years ago, and my system was nowhere near as good back then. So huge caveats. You really just take it with a salt lick. But listening to this right now, this is just miles beyond anything I've ever heard. Like it sounds like they're in this huge room, and you just hear the depth of this room, and like, you know, there's all kinds of weird, crazy instruments on this, and they sound like they're coming from all over the place, and it's fantastic. Another thing I should say is that although it could very well be that the original of these were cut from tape, these came out at a time when I think it's very rare for those cuts to truly be all analog, even when they were cutting from tape, because the newer lathes were turning the signal to digital and using, you know, like it would put it into a computer, and the computer would figure out how to do the groove spacing and stuff like that. So, you know, this is a 1985 album, I believe, and I think by 1985 there's not very many, even stuff that was cut from tape in general probably was, that signal was turned into 1644 digital. So, you know, so there's that, right? Like if that's true, then this is a higher res audio thing. Okay, let me gather my thoughts again. Okay, so they're wonderful. I approve. Like, it's, you know, would be nice if we had that extra 1/100% of sound or whatever, but everything else they did was wonderful. This is the best these probably have ever sounded. And so another thing that's cool about having gotten it at Electric Fetus is that on Tuesdays they have this like happy hour thing or whatever, where for every $20 you spend on new records, you get $5 in credit for used records. And so I got those 3 records for about $100, and then for like I got these then for free. And it's funny, like I have never gotten into Elvis Costello. It's just always been, I hear the occasional old song, and I think, oh, that's pretty good, but I've never actually checked them out. But now that this is just in my lap for free, sure. And then like, just for completest sake, I don't think this is that good of an album, but I got it for free. So anyway, it's just a nice thing that happens, like that wouldn't have happened online, right? Okay, so the only other thing I wanted to talk about is there's these Lush reissues. They had them there in stock. I was very tempted to buy them. I didn't, but the first, all the early Lush albums have been reissued, and they're sourced from the analog tapes and stuff like that. And I'm super curious to hear those and compare those to the originals, because you know, that was just from an era where they were definitely cut from 1644 digital back then, and I bet the new stuff sounds better. And you know, the only thing is I got to look at the covers, and the covers, that's a thing, right? These covers fortunately look perfect. They look like they have the original art and stuff like that, and we're able to make wonderful looking covers. Those Lush reissues did not look like that at all. You could tell it wasn't the real thing. So so that's the only thing there. I feel like I wanted to say more about that, but that was probably because I was gonna buy them and listen to them, and then actually talk about what I heard. But since I didn't buy them, I can't talk about them. Okay, I guess that's everything. Thanks a lot. So long.